Hey there YouTube, I'm going to be doing a Coleco Talking Teacher circuit bent demo. I'm going to be talking for a long time, so I would really twist your arm. There are plenty of other demos of this device on YouTube, so why don't you just go ahead and click on one of the other videos, because I speak in my videos and they're kind of boring and chatty. I more or less make my videos for myself because I enjoy, I forget what I do and the stories behind the stuff, so rather than become frustrated and not fast forward, I just encourage you, just get out of here, So yeah, today I'm vaping on the Arctic tank. It's a 7mm. This is a clone tank available from Fastech. It's a 7mm Arctic tank clone. $11.90. Excellent tank. Really, really good stuff. And I got some Suicide Bunny clone, not the mother's milk, that's a strawberry. This is like a vanilla, it's the original. And I got that recipe off of eliquidrecipes.com, so check that one out if you're into DIY e-liquid. It's really good stuff. And if you're into sub-tanks, it goes through the juice. That's the downside, but man, this is a fantastic tank. I think the coils are like $8 too, for a set of 5, Fastech. So yeah, circuit bending with the Coleco Talking Teacher. Now this toy, it says on the back 1985. I paid $1.99 for this at Goodwill. I was thrilled when I found it because I really like circuit bending speaking toys, and when I saw it I'm like, I know that's got the old TI chips in there. Texas Instruments came out with these chips, made the first talking toys, and they're easy to circuit bend because there's 3 in this device. There is 3 chips, and they're 28 pin chips, I think. Maybe one might be 24, I don't know. They're really big chips. The thing about these toys is nowadays, the modern ones, they've taken those 3 chips, everything, and shrunk it down to a tiny little, actually it's like a blob. It's a black blob. They've actually like printed the circuit onto this chip and soldered it down onto this tiny board, and then there's a black epoxy. So it literally is a blob, and what comes out of there? 2 wires for the battery, 2 wires for the speaker, 2 wires for a button. So if you go to circuit bend that, you're either going to be activating the button, shorting the speaker, or blowing up the battery. Really not many exciting options. This old stuff, when you go in and short it out, it will oftentimes start speaking in tongues. The rule with circuit bending is if you do this, you take the back off the device and you get yourself a piece of wire. This is a good tool. It's 2 nails and with a piece of wire in between, and I have a little 1K resistor, like a low value resistor. So that way, rather than hard shorting these old rare chips and perhaps blowing them up, causing them to fail, the little bit of resistance is going to be enough to let it freak out and speak in tongues, but not hard shorting, risking it to blow up. Now, they do oftentimes when you, like if you're the first one, I have to tell you, the stuff, take a look over here. It's up on the internet. This is seaweedfactoryblogspot.com. That is a picture of the back of the circuit board, and there's another image that's even much more bend points. I went for the quick one. This was a speed bend, as I've been up all week due to being manipulated and lied to. Now, here we have long glitch 25K pot, short glitch with a switch. It's just like a push button switch. Long unsteady glitch, and then pitch 500K. So you can see green, there's the pitch. We have these 2 points here, blue. So yeah, you solder on a couple of wires there, and that would go to this 25K pot. And when you return that pot, it would go ahead and freak out and start speaking in tongues. So if you set these controls flat or wherever they don't make it freak out, the toy operates completely normal. So it's kind of non-destructive. I could always go in here and unsolder the wires if I want. This one, I cut a black plastic panel, something from automotive, I think, like a stereo panel from the car radio, and then I just tapped that in with some screws and reinforced it with some hot glue. But you can see it's just a couple of 3 pots and then a push button switch. When you're actually have it finished, even if you use legitimate bends that people have said these are the ones, Sometimes it will freak out and the unit will cease to function. It'll just shut down, and you'll go to shut it off and turn it back on again and nothing happens. Like it's geeked hard. So at that point what you need to do is take the batteries out, or if you're running a power adapter, you would unplug that adapter for a second, plug it back in, and then you're back off to the races. Now, one thing a lot of vendors will do, especially if you're using batteries, you should never be using an adapter because you're hooked up to mains power, you've modified the device. It's kind of dangerous. So we don't want to use an adapter, we want to always use batteries when we're bending, and instead of having to take the batteries out, you get a normally closed push button switch. Now that would be the type of switch you could think of it as if you were using it on your doorbell or your car horn. Well, this normally closed push button switch would be always on. You'd be driving around, or your doorbell ding dong going off like crazy until you press that switch, and then that breaks the circuit. It's normally closed. It's closed. When you press the switch, it opens it up, and that would of course break the connection, and it would cease to be active or beeping. You get a moment's rest until you release the switch, and then it would continue. So that normally closed switch, we cut that in on either the black or red wire coming off the battery cage. So at that point, when you do, and you will, they all eventually, I mean after about 10 minutes, if you can handle playing with this thing for 10 minutes and hearing it speak in tongues, it's really obnoxious. It'll stop, it'll freak out, and then you hit the button. And then it resets it instead of having to take the batteries out. I haven't done that to this yet. I did the stock mods from seaweedfactoryblogspot.com. Thank you very much. What I did, I googled it. Coleco Talking Teacher is what I typed in, and then the words circuit bend, and then I did an image search. You click on image, and there you go. There was a few of them. So. Worked out pretty good. I was able to cut this panel in. Usually that's the thing with bending this stuff, is typically they designed them well and they didn't leave any extra room to be adding these controls inside. There's just no room. So a lot of times guys will have external boxes, run cables over, whatever you can figure out. I mean, sometimes they repaint them and put them on eBay for a lot of money. In the case of me, like I have all of the Texas Instruments, Speak and Spell, Speak and Math, Speak and Read. I've only bent the math, but I've been kind of collecting them. When I see them, I grab them, because they're worth a couple of bucks, and when you bend them, they're worth more. So basically with those units, I used them on it was kind of like a concept album, a bunch of songs, and they had long extensive sound effect beds in between each song that were relevant to the words of the songs. They actually were. And if you can believe that I got, incorporated that gibberish into these sound effect beds, and it supposedly meant something relevant to the lyrics, well, congratulations. You fell for the greatest hoax of the century. Now, other than these stock bends, I did add a output jack, so that's running to a little practice amp thing, and that's got an echo on it, so if you hear some echo, that's not this, it's, quiet. So yeah, the echo is unnatural. Now I'll go ahead and pop this open so you can take a look. I haven't put the chassis screws in yet. What you do, you open it up, and then you'll have to remove the screws to get the board free. This one has an LCD, so there was 4 screws for the LCD, and that came apart. And then you're able to access the other side of the board, what we saw in our picture over here. You access that, and that's where we solder in our wires that go to our controls. Typically people will use pots, although you can just run 2 screws in here, and then when you touch those, your body's natural resistance will act like the pot and do the same trick. They have CDS cells or light sensors you can utilize, push buttons, and then of course pots. Pretty much anything will work. Additional components aren't really recommended. I mean, the pots, yeah, those work pretty well. But you can see here, these are those big chips I was talking about. You basically you take the back off of it, and then you could lick your finger. Guys will talk about they'll take a marble, put the marble over like the N key or the B key, and then they would tape that marble on there, flip it over, and then when they press down, that marble would press the button for them, so they wouldn't need a buddy. And then you could B, and then you could sit there and lick your finger and just randomly poke around until you got an unusual reaction, and then you would mark that off with a Sharpie marker and experiment with different, resistors. Or so yeah, that's how you circuit bend. The talking stuff is really the best stuff. I mean, if it just plays a song or does music, there typically will be a clock. There'll be either a fixed resistor or a trimmer pot. This is the trimmer pot you can adjust, and like if you were to turn that, it would raise or lower the pitch of the gentleman that speaks. So yeah, that was the first thing to go. The trimmer got pulled out and I cut in this pot so you can adjust the speed. And then this here is long glitch, and this is long unstable glitch, and this is short glitch. So yeah, I have another video called the Coleco Chatterbox, and that is something that was gifted to me. It's like a phone box, and you can program it for industrial applications that have different alarm sensors in your factory that would notify you if there was an issue, whatever sensor it might be, like if you had a pump that failed, and then you could actually program it to call you at home and say the pump has failed. And I got a Coleco Chatterbox or two. That's kind of a real, that's a doozy. And I was able to, that thing is all bent up. So check it out. Here is the Coleco Talking Teacher. I do need to say this is I haven't really learned how to play it yet. You do kind of learn what works better than what doesn't work as well, because there are better results than not. But the good thing about the Talking Teacher is it doesn't lock up that much. It doesn't geek out and hard, shut itself down. So from hello.
Select mode. Spelling. Home. 2. Spell was. What? Clock. Select mode. Spelling.
I don't really know what I'm doing yet. Okay, I reset it. I hope that isn't clipping for you guys. And I apologize for, I probably should have learned how to play this thing.
Set level.
Okay, so the stable glitch was, I think it was this. Let's set level.
6 D D D C C.
Here we go. So yeah, I mean, it's weird. I grant it that. Now, as I mentioned, you do kind of learn how to play with these. And I'm thinking I did the speed bend on this tonight. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at that other document. I may even add a control box because I'm kind of out of room as far as adding additional controls. This seems like it's cool. Didn't take very long. Took us about an hour because we kind of didn't really have a lot of the parts that we needed, and we don't necessarily we kind of take it easy here. But like if I had a gun to my head, I probably could have done this in about 15 minutes, I suppose. But I would really twist your arm if you own a talking toy such as Speak and Spell, Speak and Math, or Speak and Read. You have a soldering iron. Check it out. Try some circuit bending. I mean, they're not. You don't destroy it. It's worth more money when you're done bending it. If you see something like this, the Coleco Talking Teacher, definitely pick it up. This is a fun little weekend project, and who knows what you would be able to use it for. At least you could make an incredibly annoying answering machine message. Let's say you live in an apartment, you got some neighbors who might be a little bit loud. Well, plug this into your stereo at 4 in the morning, point your speakers toward the ceiling, and let them know that they might not be the only one that can be loud in the apartment complex. Works wonders. So thank you very much for joining me for the Coleco Talking Teacher demo. I'm not going to apologize for the length of my video because I really don't care what you guys think about my work. I do this just for me. This way I don't have to get the thing out. I can just go and click on my... So yeah, thank you so much for joining me. Vape hard. Hopefully I'm gonna be doing some more of these vape videos soon. And keep on hacking. Peace.